I'm Bianca Lamus, and welcome to Tuning In. On today's show, we speak with Derek Mendez about reporting in the Middle East and his mission to educate people about sectarian conflict and Syrian refugees. Also joining us today is the president of the Syrian American Council here in LA, who will share his personal story of losing family members to the recent gas attack near Damascus. Derek Mendez, a political science major at CSULB, has been interested in world issues since a young age. He decided to spend this summer in Jordan reporting on one of the world's biggest refugee camps, Zaatari, after his fellow classmate Jordan Hattar offered Derek an opportunity to travel with him. Having been invited only a couple weeks prior to the trip, Derek had to scramble to raise funds for travel expenses. After raising an incredible $3,000 in only 2 weeks, Derek packed his bags and camera for a month of reporting in Zaatari. Once in Jordan, Derek met and interviewed Jordanian neighbors, Syrian refugees, and even people from the royal court. Now back in Long Beach, he has published some articles and photography on boldtypemag.com, a website he created with his friend James Wright. He also is currently working with YALA, an organization that works with refugee children to educate people about the refugee crisis. He also is scheduled to speak to a couple classrooms here at CSULB about his time in Jordan and in the refugee camps. In studio today, we have Derek Mendez, a political science major. Derek, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Bianca.
So you spent about a month in Jordan, right?
I did. I spent 3.5 weeks. I rented an apartment in Amman.
And how much of that time did you spend in the refugee camp and outside of the camp?
I spent about 6 days at the refugee camp and then spent a few weeks talking to people from, refugees living in Amman to people of Jordan, all the way up to members of the royal court.
And how did you get this connection with the royal court?
Last semester I met Jordan Hattar in a Middle Eastern politics class, and he had been to Zaatari the year prior, and when he heard me speaking about the Middle East and the fact that I had done work as a journalist, he invited me to come along with him.
And he provided these connections for you?
He provided, through family ties and people he knew, he introduced me to people that got me in the door. He got me to be able to get the press pass to get access to Zaatari and to meet Francesca Suala from the Royal Court of Jordan through Jordan's cousin, Saeed, who's a journalist who's worked for Time magazine and the Jordanian Times.
So you had two very different type of experiences in Jordan. You had this really political, involved experience, and then you had this other experience where you went more straight to the people who were in the refugee camps.
Yeah, my initial goal was after the Boston bombings that occurred actually when I was first talking to Jordan about this trip. And the Boston bombings, I saw so many people and journalists covering the story. So many people putting out a lot of misinformation about what happened during the Boston bombings. But the one thing the media got right was that the media covered the humanitarian elements, the heroes like Aaron Dotto, who ran the marathon, got a mile away and ran back to start helping people. And when Obama spoke about the Boston bombings, he talked about the Chinese grad student who was killed in the bombings. And next day, a blog post went viral, which actually Jeremy Scahill mentioned this as well. He's a journalist for The Nation. This went viral, and it was titled, "Where You Die Matters," meaning that, had she died in a factory in Shanghai, no one would have paid attention. But because she had died in America, it was newsworthy. And so I realized that with all these counts of like 2,000 Syrians crossing the border of Jordan, we don't get to see who those people really are. And so I wanted to go over and meet them and try to help tell their stories.
So this is what inspired you to really go out and report?
It is. I felt that the Middle East is in the news every day, but a lot of people don't really know what's going on, or we don't humanize the people who are going through these experiences.
And when you went into the refugee camps, what did you find they were like?
I mean, a lot of people, they're suffering a lot. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of sadness.
And we hear this in the media, but what was the difference? Like, what type of reporting did you feel was how was your reporting different from what CNN is putting out there and what maybe young reporters are going and trying to write blogs and take photographs?
I mean, my main approach was just to try to meet people, to sit with them for an extended amount of time so that they felt comfortable with me and like, you know, as equals. That I didn't come with a giant telephoto lens when I shot photos. I came in with a 35 millimeter so that they had acknowledged I had the camera, but I also wanted candid shots. So when I got their permission to shoot photos, they were relaxed and we just sat there and had tea and they told me their stories. And it was a really intimate experience, and that's what I was hoping to convey.
And what did you discover in the refugee camps? What kind of stories were there?
There are a lot of stories, and some that were sad and all too common, of people having their houses blown up, losing family members, trying to escape and get through Dara, which is like the south of Syria, into Zaatari.
Did the majority of people have this type of story? Like no one just came from Syria in a bus and were like wanting to just leave their country and go to the camp? Or
sadly, most of the stories where people had lost family members or had a lot of had their homes destroyed is probably the most common thing I heard. However, actually something that I thought was really poignant.
Most of them were fled when they came to Jordan?
Most of them were fleeing and decided to seek safety for their family. But one of the stories that stuck with me the most was this man. He owned a shop down the middle of Zaatari. There's actually a souk, like a market, and he had a shop in the market. And because I had worked doing book reviews and I talked to a nurse in the camp, the nurse actually set me up to meet this guy because he used to be a secondary English school teacher in Syria. And his wife was a professor of philosophy at the University of Damascus. He had came to Zaatari because he needed dialysis treatment for a kidney problem, and the hospital that he would have been able to go to in the suburbs of Damascus didn't have the supplies and didn't have the ability to treat him, so he fled to Zaatari.
He left Syria so he could
get medical attention. While his family was still back home, so he was constantly listening to the news and worried about their safety. But he said something really poignant about...
So he's alone in the camp?
He's alone. He's made friends. He had someone who was working in the shop with him, but his family's all back home. And he can call them, like he has a cell phone and they're able to communicate. One of the things he said that really stuck with me, though, is I asked him about the situation. Like, how would you describe the situation in Zaatari? And he said that, he's like, oh, you read books, that's great. He's like, do you know Waiting for Godot? And I do. And so he's like, everyone here is waiting for Godot, which he meant that everyone who came to the camp is waiting for something that's never going to come. Like a lot of them came and they thought, okay, in a couple months this will be over, I'll be able to go home, I'll be with my family. Even though their homes had been destroyed, they saw like this hope, and then 6 months went on, 9 months, a year and a half, and they're losing that hope. And the conditions in the camp are really poor, and people are, kind of turning against each other in some cases, and they're losing the idea that maybe this is going to go back to normal, and they're having to face that reality.
I couldn't imagine having to leave my home to go to a different country and someone telling me that I could never come back. That's a sad reality that they're living, right? It's
tough, and Syria and Jordan are very different. Syria is actually really lush. People are used to having vegetables and having forests. When they come over to Jordan, Jordan's the 4th driest country in the world. Zaatari is a strip of land that's so dry, they say the scorpions and camels won't hang out there. and so it's a
that doesn't
miserable,
sound like a nice place.
No, it's a miserable plot of land. I mean, it's generous of the Jordanian government to provide them a place to go, but it's not a place you want to be for an extended amount of time. It's hot, miserably hot during summer, and when it rains and gets cold in the winter, the ground is so dry, water doesn't absorb, so it causes flooding. In fact, the first winter when Jordan Hattar was over there, several children died because it was so cold and they were in tents and didn't have enough blankets.
And I know your work, your photography and your blogs feature a lot of children, right?
Yeah, actually, 75% of the people at Zaatari are under the age of, or 75% are women and children, like over 50% are under the age of 18. The thing to keep in perspective is Zaatari only represents 20% of the refugees within Jordan. So even though Zaatari is now like the 4th largest city in the country with 120,000 people, there's still almost like 600,000 people within the country, and it's estimated to go up, especially if a U.S. intervention occurs.
And what kind of conditions are the children facing there? Like, I know you want to touch base on with what the children are experiencing in Zatari.
I mean, and there's definitely a variance of what different children are experiencing, but life is tough. I mean, you can't, as an outsider coming in, you can't even necessarily give someone water if a child asks for water, because other kids will try to take that from them, or you'll have a swarm of children coming out to follow you.
Is that something that personally happened to you?
We had a moment where something like that happened. The allocation of resources in the camp, because the conditions are so dire, have to happen on set schedules and follow a certain protocol. For instance, when water trucks are brought into Zatari, they start on one side of the camp and they go around and they deliver in an exact order of where these water tanker trucks fill up the tanks where people can get their water, and they do this twice a day. And the reason is that, you know, before this had happened where someone's water tank had ran out in the middle of the camp and they sent a truck out to fill it up, and a riot broke out because people had thought that, you know, somebody was getting favoritism. So the way resources are allocated have to be very regimented inside the camp because everyone is desperate.
And after everything you found out when you were in Zatari, what is your mission now that you're here back home?
Now that I'm home, I really want to empower refugees who are here in the United States to be able to speak. I would like to do gallery exhibits with my photos, and I'm working with an organization called Yala, which is based in San Diego, and it uses soccer to get kids motivated and be able to get these refugee kids back into programs to get counseling and to get tutoring and get a college education.
It sounds like you're doing a lot of amazing things, and I really want to thank you for being in here today, Derek. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
There's a world of opportunity available through the College of Continuing and Professional Education at Cal State Long Beach. Have you ever thought about a career in managing sports teams or sports facilities? You can get started by taking the graduate program in sport management. Learn what it takes to become part of this exciting field from prominent instructors who are working in the industry. For more information, contact the College of Continuing and Professional Education at Cal State Long Beach.
In studio today, we have Hassan Tweet, president of SAC. Hassan, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
On August 21st in Damascus, there was a gas attack, and thousands of people lost their lives. 7 of those people were family members. How close were those family members to you?
They were our extended family from my sister's side, from her in-laws. 3 adults died that night and 4 kids, and the oldest of the kids were 15 years old. And they were gassed mercilessly in the city of Jobar, because my sister lived in Jobar. And Jobar is probably about 2 miles or 3 miles away from Damascus.
How well did you know them?
I knew them very well when they were kids. You know, I still remember the baby faces, and it's heartbreaking when you see, you know, such a innocent babies dying for no reason. You know, especially in the way they were killed. You know, I have not seen their pictures when they were dead, but I remember them vividly. You know, how when their smile and their cry. Yeah.
And when you heard this news, where were you?
Actually, you know what? We were on a dinner table, and honestly, I have an app which is called Free Syria, and it will give you a kind of like a text message when there is a massive killing. So we were used to it. Like every night, I'll get a text message like 30 people, 50 people, 100 people died that night.
But that's a little bit of a strange type of.
Yeah, there's people, there's students in university. What they do is they collect all the names and they put them and they do push text. Called Free Syria.
But there is a demand for this type of app. It seems that
it is. Actually, it's in both languages. You can have it in English or you can have it in Arabic. And what it does, it actually gives you news on the moment, on demand, with videos, with a lot of details. You know, exactly where is the hot spot, where is the killing, and who's doing. So that night, I got a text that 365 people died, and that was the largest number. So I thought the apps is making the mistakes. It cannot be. So I rushed to the news. There was no news. And about 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, the news on the apps came in like 450 people died.
Yeah.
Start calling people, start calling my sisters, didn't go through. And that was about at 10:30 at night, Wednesday night. Finally, when the number hit 560, we start calling each other, and then they say there has been a chemical attack on 5 cities on the outskirts of Damascus. So we rushed to the phone. We couldn't get hold of my sister because the network or the circuits for the phones were overjammed. So we could not get until an hour later, until 11:30. I remember the news came in that there has been an attack and pictures start coming. So it was devastating because is the sister alive? My sister has 5 kids.
Is your sister the only person
No,
from the direct family that's in Syria?
No, I have 2 sisters. One of them in the city of Hama, which was bombed in 1982. 40,000 people died at that time. And as a result, I fled that city and I came to the United States. So this regime throughout the history for 43 years has been striving on killing people, imprisoning people, and having people fled the country. So, when we heard the news, honestly, we couldn't eat that night. We start calling.
Of course, it's your family.
We start calling, I just like get a news, and I call my brother, which is in a different country. I call my mother, which is in a third country. Did you hear something? It was a panic moment. And that panic moment is like, what are you going to do? The first things is, the panic. After you go panic, you take a moment and you just close your eyes and you say, I'll pray to God that nothing happened. And it took us 6 hours to locate my sisters. Luckily that night they were at my mother's house, which is, they were just spending the night because there was so much bombing. So they had an alternative choice where they were spending the nights in my mother's house, which is about 2 miles exactly from the incident.
So it wasn't a normal night?
No, it wasn't. Because the day before it was a lot of bombing and there was a lot of movement on the ground. And people were panicking, the noises, the bomb, the whole military movement was really busy movement at that time.
And so when you finally located your sister, she told you that?
They told us that they got the news that it's been a chemical attack on the city of Jobar because that's where they live.
But they didn't know that they had just...
They did not. So immediately my brother-in-law took the car and he went to check on the family. At that time he also got injured because they were attacking the city after they bomb it because they want to shell it so the evidence will go away.
So did he just...
So he got hit actually in the eye. He got rubbish in the eyes and he got hit in the neck and the shoulder and the knee.
So he put his life in danger to go
yes,
look out
because you know what?
for his family.
At this point, the Syrian people or our family, even my sister says, you know what? If it's time to die, it's time to die. We're not leaving. We're going to be here and we're going to stay here. If it's time to die, it's time to die. Either we die in dignity and freedom or life is not worth it anymore.
And where did he find his family members?
He could not.
He couldn't?
He could not. The military, actually, what happened is, if they catch you on the checkpoints or in the hospitals that you have the ID and it says you're from that city and that city is being bombed and there's a lot of killing, they will take you away and you will never be back or return to your family. So even their ID, they can't show it. So he was trying to reach because there was, the news came in. I remember I stayed until 2 o'clock that night. Finally, the Al Jazeera went out on the air and they said 1,100 people died. And I was like, wow.
It's
oh my God.
Incredibly high number.
It was a very high number. And then all of a sudden the next day, 1,300, 1,600 people died. So, the numbers start escalating. And then the whole world saw how the kids are gasping for air, they're dying. And it's the worst way to die.
Yeah.
I don't know
when I saw the first article online, I thought it wasn't real. I saw the pictures of the children and I just thought, I can't believe that over 1,000 people and I think half of them were children?
460.
460
460 around that neighborhood of numbers that there were kids. And, we told the world 2.5 years ago, this regimes, this dictatorships will use chemical people. And it's not just the killing people, by chemical is okay. We're going to stop him, but how about he killed about 100,000 people, conventional weapons. He will still continue to kill people. So we were hoping that the United States will do something and the free world will do something because the United Nations actually it's not doing its job and it's been hijacked by the Russians' veto and the Chinese and their history or their record about human rights shows it for itself. So they're not going to help the Syrians. That's why people turn to the United States and say, please help us, for 2.5 years. And unfortunately, the administration of Obama decided not to do anything until it got to the point where there's a chemical attack is happening.
And so you're a Syrian who came here in the 80s?
Yes, 1982, when I was young, again, there was similar uprising in 1982 in the city of Hama, where 40,000 people died for no reason, just because they wanted freedom. And unfortunately, at that time, nobody helped us. So I promised myself when I left, anything that I can do for free to have Syria have a freedom and democracy, I will do it. So when the first demonstration happened in the city of Daraa in Syria, I was the first one. We were 7 people holding a sign in they call it Little Syria town in Anaheim. We hold a sign, we were 7 people. We say, we need freedom for Syria. And I was not afraid, because I knew how this regime is going to be brutal. I wanted to help humanitarian. I want the whole country of Syria to be blessed the way we were blessed here with freedom, democracy, and even basic food. I just returned from humanitarian trips. You know, honestly, for 2 weeks I couldn't eat properly, because, you know, we take it so much for granted here. We have this food and luxury, and people over there, they're dying for a banana.
And how has this recent Syrian blow, and how has it changed your mission, or how has it motivated you with the work you're doing at SAC?
This is the first time in the history of the Syrian people that we can actually congregate and have an organizations, even though SAC's founded in 2005. And when the founder, they did actually, what they did is actually the founder had missions and had the visions that they needed to bridge the two society, so they can actually peacefully bridge them together. And when the revolution happens, all of a sudden we had to mobilize, empower, organize rally, have a event where we can educate about the governments, about the freedoms, about how can we help the Syrians after revolutions, how can we get connected together. So it made us really more organized and more one body. Yes, there's our people who are against us and they are pro-Assad because they are the beneficiary. They don't see the democracy, and unfortunately they live here and they enjoy democracy, but they do not want democracy to be exploited to all the people, by the people, for all people.
And if there are people who want to get involved with SAC?
All they have to go is go to the website. It's called sacouncil.org, and all the informations. We have 20 chapters nationwide, 22 chapters now nationwide. The most recent one was Texas chapter. It was open, it was very active. And you can go there and you can get all the information, the donations, what we do, rallies, and who you can contact with.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming in today and showing such an amazing story.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad. Anytime.